So the first thing we need to do is get all the wood out of the way. Next step, I went ahead and measured down from the ceiling because I don't have a laser level to do this, and marked exactly where I wanted roughly the top of the table to be. After that, I just transferred the marks around to the other wall as well. Here I used my 8-foot straight edge, tried to mark a straight line so I could have a rough idea. After that, I decided to lay out the diagram and make sure I had all the pieces cut. After this, I went ahead and used my speed square, clamped it down to give me a straight cut. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it the opposite way. Next, I tried to transfer the lines, make sure they were straight so I could have a jig to use to mark out on the other piece as well. Next, I transferred the marks, used my drill bits to hone out a hole so I could stick the jigsaw in there and make the cuts, using my straight edge, of course. After that, it was time to assemble the table. Next, I'm putting in support braces so that it has structural support, using my square again to try to make sure that I get this as square as possible. Here, I'm just making sure that my lines are lining up, that I drill exactly where it's supposed to be and not off. Now, in case you didn't know, you can use a clamp reversely and use it to open the instead of closing. Next, I'm going to pull down the plywood sheets on this left wall, and then we're going to start marking out where it belongs. Now, it was right about here I tried to use my Thor power, but unfortunately it didn't work. Thankfully, my handy helper daughter came in and gave me a hand. Now I'm just lagging into the support so that it stays structurally sound. This is the stud buddy, it's optional. Now after trimming these down a little bit, the idea is I'm going to have plywood top there, and then next I'm going to have the trim there, giving it a rounded edge so that no dust gets behind, as I'm showing here. And then all three corners will meet up in the corner there with a miter in it. Now, in case you've ever heard, measure twice, cut once. I like to measure at least 5 times because I know at some point I'm going to fuck this up. Here I'm building the very far right box. This is the final piece that I need. After this, we're just going to cut it down. I'm going to put the box together, and then we're going to slap it on the wall. Now, another trick that I found useful is, since I have a plastic speed square, I marked out on 2x4 one side and 2x6 on the other side to get an even space. Now it's time to move our faithful and trusty steed through this entire build, the little cart. Now I'm just scribing a straight line into the wall so I can get a rough idea, because again, I don't have a laser measure to do this that I'm using right now. And then I measure down to make sure that the line is roughly exactly where I want it. Now when I did this, I just put my weight against it, lagged one side in, went to the other side, tried to make sure it was as flat as possible. After this, as you can see, I did use my level. And this will need some fine tuning. Next, and I'm sure everybody's over it, I just wanted these plywood sheets up on the wall to give it all covered. Here again, I used my speed square. I probably need to pick up a bigger speed square. They do make framing speed squares, which would have made that long cut there a lot better, but that's for the future. Right now, we're just using what I have. Now, after this last piece here, I really didn't want to go all the way up, but I just measured just in case. But this is the final product here. Now the next step is to get the tabletop covered, and then the bottom's done, so we would have inserts or drawers. Stay tuned. Also, like and subscribe.